In this video, we're going to go through the notes for surface area and volume of rectangular prisms. So the first thing is that surface area is what we do a wrapping around a figure. So it's going to be the outside of a three-dimensional figure. So basically what we're going to do with our formula is we're going to be taking the area of each face, like for a rectangular prism, maybe rectangles. For a cylinder, it would be a rectangle and two circles. And then we're going to add up all the areas of each shape of that figure. A lot of times we talk about covering things, so like on the Hershey Kisses, the tin foil around it, that would be the surface area. On a gift, it would be the wrapping paper around it. And since it's still area, it's just the area of the outside of the three-dimensional figure. We're still going to use the units squared. For volume, we're talking about the number of cubes that go inside. So if it fits inside something, we talk a lot about the word filling, pouring, that actually the three-dimensional thing, not the flat surfaces from the outside of the shape, but the water inside a pool, the filling inside of a cake, the stuffing inside of a pillow. And for volume, we are going to use units cubed. All right, so for this one, circling which one is surface area or volume. Surface area, filling a glass with juice would be volume. Making a paper hat, that's the outside, so that would be surface area. Tin foil over chicken would also be surface area because it's covering the outside. Ice cream inside the container would not, because that's the filling, and ice cream container would be. So these other three here are filling a glass with juice, ice cream inside, all of the things, pouring concrete, those are all going to be volume. So here's our formula that we're going to use for this. Surface area formula is very long because what we're essentially doing is finding the area of each one of those rectangles and adding them all together. The volume formula is a lot shorter. So we're going to do the area of the base, which is a rectangle, times the height. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, and I'll erase all these notes from earlier, is we are going to write down our formula. So for this one, for the first example in here, it's surface area. So I'm going to write down the surface area formula. You can always get this on your formula sheet that I'm sure your teacher has given you. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and identify in the shape. It doesn't actually matter in rectangular prisms. Typically we call it the length. You can see it here. Let me change it to a better looking color. There we go. The length. So in this case it'd be the 4, and in our formula our length appears here. The width would be the 1.5, and in our formula it's here. And then we'll do the height, which is like usually from the top to the bottom, but again, you could label any of them, 1W, 1L, 1H, it doesn't really matter. The height is here. So here's the length, here's the width, and here's the height. And so for this one here, we're gonna go ahead and plug it in, and like I said, it's a lot of like steps. 2 times LW, so 2 times 4 times 1.5, plus 2 times L, which is kind of following this formula out, 2 times L, which is 4, times the height, which is 2, plus 2 times W, which is 1.5, times the height, which is 2. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just use my Desmos calculator to calculate the whole thing. So I'm going to do 2 times 4 times 1.5 plus 2 times 4 times 2 plus 2, and it's very times 1.5 times 2, which is 34. And the units that we're going to use are squared. So basically if we were trying to cover this, we would say it takes 34 feet squared, so a 1 foot by 1 foot square, to cover the outside of this whole shape. All right, so for the volume, similar steps, it's just the volume formula. We're going to do the area of the base, which is length times width, it's a rectangle, times the height. So for the volume, I'm going to just do the same thing. Here's my length. I don't know if I use the same colors, but it doesn't really matter. There's my width. And here's my height. So all we're going to do to find the volume is we're going to do 4 times 1.5 times 2. We're just going to multiply. Remember, when variables sit next to each other, that's just multiplication. So 4 times 1.5 times 2, which is 12 feet. And this one's going to be cubed. And what that means is that if we had 12 to fill this rectangle, we would need 12 cubes that are 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. Okay, so we'll do the practice together too, and I think that, yeah, let's see this one. So the surface area formula, so it says find the surface area. 2L plus 2W, and sometimes I'll say things like cover the shape. How much paper would you need? How much, if you were going to paint the whole outside of this, how much would that cover? So I'm going to label, here's my length, here's my width, here's my height, but again, it doesn't matter really. So we'll use this color for length, this color for width, and blue. And there's your height. So I'm going to do surface area equals 2 times L, which is 5, times W, which is 3, plus 2 times L, which is 5, times H, which is 1, plus, in the last group here, 2 times W, which is 3, times H, which is 1. Which is 46. And this would be inches squared. Okay, and the last one, find the volume of a cube. A cube means that all of your sides are the same, so it's going to be an 8 by 8 by 8. And so here's our length, width, and height. And the formula, which you can of course look at it over here, in the formula sheet's just length times width times height. Oops. So I'm going to do LWH. They're all the same, so the length is 8, the width is 8, the height's the 8, so we can actually just do 8 to the third, or 8 times 8 times 8, which is 512 yards cubed. Okay, thanks for watching.